This is episode 10 of our travel series, and today's topic is tech and travel, navigating tomorrow. Hello, Sue.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well. This is our last episode, and tech and travel is an interesting combination. Things have changed a lot in the last 10 or 15 years. Maybe we can start with just booking your travel. That's all become very digital.
It has. In the past, there's still some businesses, the travel agency. They would communicate with the airlines, get your tickets, get you a package, let's say. And today you do all of this online.
And you book a lot of it yourself. So the travel agent doesn't really have a job anymore. Maybe older people still prefer to use a travel agent rather than booking themselves, because sometimes you're talking about a lot of money, flights, hotels, it's a lot of money. And if you're not confident online, doing this by yourself, it can be challenging. So yeah, a lot of the bookings have become digital. And if you want the best deals, you're going to find them online. If you go to a travel agent, you're probably going to be paying a little bit more because they have to take a fee to make it worth their while. So there are some websites that are very dominant in this area. Booking.com is one that we use a lot, Expedia, etc. So that's kind of the booking side of it. Research, people do a lot of research online about where to stay, what to do. In the past, you might arrive in a location and then you would talk to people locally. You would go to the tourist information office and ask them, okay, what can I do? What is available to do nearby? But people often arrive and they already know what they want to do, where they want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so much online, there's also crowdsourcing of information. This is good because of that. This is not that good. So you can get a very good idea of what's the place like, right? If you read these reviews. So, yes, you said before you would go to the tourist information office, usually in the center, very city center, or very close by a big station. And then you would get a map and they will let you know like what would the route be and just help you out with that. Today, you do it yourself. You do it with the technology you have.
Well, if we think about that, the technology these days, when you arrive in your vacation destination, your navigation is through your smartphone. People are not really using maps to travel around. It's become easier to get data for your smartphone when you travel. Again, just a few years ago, you might have to get a remote Wi-Fi device that you carried around with you. Now there are eSIMs, which allow you just to temporarily have another SIM on your smartphone, and you can get very cheap access to data. So people are using things like Google Maps to navigate cities, which for me now is essential.
Yeah, because it's not only the map, like the street map, it's also the public transport. These apps can tell you the fare, how much is it going to cost, how many stations, what's the name of the station.
Which direction do you need to go? So if you're using a subway in a city that you're not familiar with, you don't know which direction. Should I go up the line? Should I go down the line? But Google Maps is going to tell you everything you need to know, and in your language. So maybe a few years ago, you could get a local version, but that would probably not be in your language. So these are major changes, but have made traveling so much easier. Another thing we can think about is translation apps. Now, as an English teacher, I don't encourage the use of translation apps. I think people should learn to use the language of the place they're visiting. But there's no doubt that translation apps give you access to information that you wouldn't normally have access to. You can avoid misunderstandings. You can save yourself time. Even using the camera. Through the translation app, you can understand what a sign says, and you can even have a simple conversation with people. Just have something like Google Translate open. I can speak in my language, the other person can speak in their language, and we can have a little conversation together. So that's really opened travel to everyone.
One of my favorite apps is not the translation app, but the camera, because you can just point it at a menu or a sign and it will translate it. Usually it's very literal, so you need to figure out what it really means.
Yeah, I think the point there is that translation apps work very well with sentences. And if you're translating a sign, it won't be written in a standard sentence. It might just be a couple of words. So there's no context for the translation. So yeah, as you said, they could be a little bit strange, but they're getting better. They really are getting a lot better.
But it gives you, at least it gives you a little bit of control, a little bit of an idea of what's happening. So yeah, it's an incredible tool to have, and just being able to do things better.
And being able to talk to people that you wouldn't normally be able to talk to. Like to have a little conversation with somebody who speaks a completely different language to you is just incredible.
It is. I think that's what traveling is about, is communicating with others. And today, this communication through devices and technology is much, much easier. And yeah, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you use it, indeed? The last thing we can talk about here is remote work and being a digital nomad. So travel used to be something that people did for a very short period of time, maybe a weekend, a week, 10 days, that kind of thing. But now people are traveling for longer, and they're able to do this because they can live and work in that place. So people could go, for example, to Portugal for 3 months or 6 months, and they can rent a place maybe through Airbnb or something like that, and they can live locally, but they're able to work because their work is online. So this is a new way of living that people have found. They're not tied down to their home country anymore. And you can get a 6-month tourist visa in some places, or maybe a 3-month tourist visa. And then when your time comes, you're able to move on to somewhere else.
Today, you can even get 1-year visa if you're a digital nomad. If you can prove that you have a job, that you can do it online, they will give you up to a year.
It depends on the country.
It depends on the country, but thinking that this is really happening, there's a lot of people that can travel and they can keep working, and that really changes what we think about vacations.
Mm-hmm.
It also changes what a vacation is, because it's really being part of the place and the culture. And yes, you have your job, but you can go out and explore, have your favorite coffee shop, things like this.
Yeah, to really get to understand the place that you're in. So not just the tourist sites, but actually what day-to-day living is like. Maybe even make some friends and truly experience a place before you move on to the next location.